Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper. Today I wanted to share with you the Botanical Prints product medley, which I've just received in my last order and I'm having lots of fun with, and I just thought I might like to point it out to you. I think a lot of people look at it and look at the price and think, oh, £65, that's a lot of money, which yes it is, but I just wanted to show you exactly what you get for it because it is actually quite a lot of product. So it's on page 61 of the seasonal catalogue. You get the stamp set called Botanical Prints, which is got some lovely bits and pieces in it. There are these three really nice line drawn images of rose hips and some dog roses and a branch with some small rose hips on, which are really nice to colour in either watercolour pencils or with our blends, or even with the Stampin' Write markers. They all work really well to colour those. And then you've got three nice sentiments. So you've got I'm always here for you, thank you kindly, and friend. And actually I think the I'm always here for you is really relevant in this awful coronavirus time that we're going through at the moment. It's just nice to pop a card in the post for somebody or through their door if it's a neighbour, just to let them know that you're thinking about them in these awkward times. So it also comes with a set of dies. Now my dies are actually on my Big Shot, so I'm just going to hold this up closer so that you can see. These are the dies. So you get a die that cuts out each of these floral images that we spoke about before, but you then also get these lovely little corners, just to show you what they actually look like. That's what they die cut out of, and you get two dies so that you can run through two corners at the same time. So if you're putting, there we go, there's the two together. You can either put them together to make a square. If you want four corners for your card, then obviously you can run two through at the same time, which makes things a little bit quicker. You also get a reel of this really nice olive green ribbon. So it's twill ribbon. This is really quite nice. I love that old olive. And then you also get in your kit a pack of papers. So these are the papers. As you can see these here. Let's just slide these other bits out of the way first. So you get this nice pack of papers. There's lots of different patterns in there. I'm just giving you a quick flick through. That is the black and white side, which you can colour if you wish to, or you can just use them black and white. And then this is the patterned side. So you've got a really nice terracotta tile there, pretty peacock there, some really nice crushed curry, back onto some terracotta tile, and a little bit more crushed curry to finish. And those are the colours that are included in this kit. Pretty peacock, crushed curry, old olive, terracotta tile, white, copper, and some basic black. So where's the copper? I can hear you asking me, because I haven't actually shown you any paper or anything that's got copper on it. And the copper in the kit is actually these really cute, if you can see these on the camera, really cute little bees. So they're flat on one side, so you can stick them down to your projects with a glue dot. And then on the other side, they are raised. Really cute. And you get a good handful of those in there. This is the pack that came out of my kit. And then on top of that, you get these laser cut sheets. And there are 4 of those. They're all the, oh no, they're not all the same pattern. 2 each of 2 patterns. So you get the circles, and then you get the sort of lattice, and they're pretty peacock on one side and white on the other. So if you wanted to do them a different colour, if you didn't fancy white or pretty peacock, if you use a sponge and some of our Stampin' ink, then you can literally just sponge over them and turn them any colour that you want. Added to that, you get this sheet, 2 sheets that are both the same, of elements that are already stamped, coloured, and are perforated, so you just need to push those out. And then you get 2 sheets of labels, again both the same, so the sentiments will fit into these labels, and actually quite a lot of other sentiments from stamp sets would fit in there as well. So it's a pack of 6 by 6, and it's a full pack. You can see how thick that pack is there. 2 sheets of the labels, 2 sheets of the printed elements, and 4 sheets, 2 of each design, of the laser cut papers, as well as these lovely little copper bees, the stamp set, the dies to go with that, and the ribbon. So that's actually quite a lot of bits and pieces to go in there. So that's on page 61 of the seasonal catalogue if you wanted to have a look at it in there. Okay, right, so I'm just going to show you a couple of cards that I've made, and then we're going to make one card. So for these cards, this one I stamped and die cut out the rosehip image, and I coloured that in with our blends. Now I don't have terracotta tile in a blend, so I used pumpkin pie, I think, but hopefully you'll agree it's not too far off, and it still blends in. And then you can see I've used the corners here on the corner of my card, and then I have embossed the piece of white background with the tin tile embossing folder, and I've layered that up on some crushed curry and then onto a Pretty Peacock card base. And then I've used the Layered with Kindness stamp set to stamp and punch a label to say happy birthday. I've got another video which shows you some of the other things you can do with these label punches that actually coordinate with the Layered with Happiness, Kindness, actually, Layered with Kindness stamp set. Okay, so I'll just give you a quick look at that because it just happens to still be on my desk. So here's the stamp set I was talking about. So you've got some quite nice images on there, and two different sizes of punch that coordinate with that. Okay, so the other card that I've made is this one, and you can see it's using some of the papers from the product medley, the little dog rose stamp here, although I've coloured them in the peachy colour to look like blossom in the terracotta tile, and then I've stamped one of the other greetings onto the label, and then used a little piece of Whisper White embossed with the Layered Leaves emboss and folder, and that's mounted up on Old Olive and then on a crushed curry base, just to give some depth and colour. So what I thought we'd do is make a slightly different card today, and I'm going to stamp a couple of the images. So we've got the little dog roses, and then we've got this nice long image which has got the little rose hips on it. I've already die cut some more of the corners for us to use. Now, one of the tips that I just wanted to give you, if you're colouring in, sometimes you really do want a black outline to show. If you're using something like a line drawn image, you might want a black outline, but sometimes you don't actually want the outline to show up more than you're colouring, and that's what I'm going to do today. So I am stamping in basic grey, and I'm just going to stamp these onto the corners like this. Okay, so you can see that's dark enough to see where you're colouring, but light enough that it hopefully shouldn't show once we're actually finished. And then these other corners are going to go at opposite sides. Those of you that have watched my YouTube videos before will know that I am a bit OCD about things being balanced, so they're going to go on there when we've finished our card. But before we do that, we are going to stamp a greeting. So we're going to stamp the I'm always here for you. So I'm just going to grab that out, take my stamp off here. Now I do normally clean them before I take them off, but just for speed we won't. And we've got the I'm always here for you, and we've also got this long foliage, so we're going to stamp that in the middle first. Now I'm making this up as I go along, so if this is a total disaster, it's fine. And then I'm going to stamp the I'm always here for you down at the bottom. Okay, so we've got that so far, and then we're going to add in our corners when we've finished. Okay, now that's an awful lot of grey at the minute, isn't it? So I think we need to add some colour. So I'm just going to pop away my basic grey because we're finished with that now. And we're going to go in with some watercolour pencils. I'm not going to colour the whole thing because you don't really need to sit here and sit there, I should say, and watch me colouring, but just wanted to give you a couple of tips. So we're going to use the Old Olive watercolour pencil, and we're just going to colour in some of the leaves you need to be a little bit careful because we're not going to cut these images out. But the beauty of the watercolour pencils is you can add most of your colour into the middle of the leaf and then using an aqua painter, drag it out to the edge if you're not great at staining the lines. So I've just done a few of those there. I'm just going to grab an aqua painter that's got some water in it and give that a little squirt. I usually have a piece of, oh here we go, a piece of kitchen roll just to one side, just to make sure that you've got rid of any colour that was already on there and that your brush is wet. Now, because we're watercolouring on Whisper White, you don't want your brush soaking wet because it will damage the cardstock. If you're a person that likes to use a lot of water, then I'd highly recommend that you do this on watercolour paper. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm just using my aqua painter just to drag the colour, because our inks are water-based and our pencils are obviously watercolour pencils, just to drag that ink out a little bit. And you can always give your aqua painter another squeeze over your kitchen roll just to get that blended in. So you can see where we're going with that old olive, and you can see that colours that nicely, but the lines aren't obtrusive. Okay, so we're going to colour in the rose hips with a little bit of pumpkin pie. I'm hoping that Stampin' Up! Might actually bring in some more watercolour pencils in the new annual catalogue, which will coordinate with the in colours. We're getting a few of the colours coming through in the blends. We already carry 2 sets of watercolour pencils, so there is quite a comprehensive range of colours, but it would be nice to have some of our in colours as well. So you can see it's really easy just to use your aqua brush, so just squeeze a bit of water through to make sure you're rinsing out any colour. And again, I'm not going to do the whole thing on screen, but you can see that just gives a really nice pastel-y effect. Now for the dog roses, I am actually going to colour them as roses this time, and I've just realised that my white watercolour pencil is very blunt, so hopefully you can get the gist for this. But what we're going to do is that we're going to colour in the rose with some white. Now you might think I've gone slightly mad because obviously it's on white cardstock, but I want to make sure that we get a good layer of white on there, and then we're going to go in with a Flirty Flamingo pencil, and we're just going to put some shade in to the middle. Now the reason I went in with the white first was to make sure that there was a good layer of pencil down first before I put the pink in. I absolutely love dog roses, they're one of my favourite flowers. And yes, I probably could have just gone in straight in with the pink, but this just gives a layer to make sure that it's all evenly white. Okay, and then it also helps me to colour over the grey a little bit because there's something for me to colour on top of. Okay, and then we're just going to get the aqua painter and make sure that that is blended in, and blend that in a little bit with the white just so we've got no harsh lines. There we go. And hopefully you can see that that does actually look like a dog rose. Now that's a really good tip if you're colouring, oops, don't do that, if you're colouring on a darker coloured card and you want to add some white, the white watercolour pencil is a really good way of doing that. Made a card a while back now using Rococo Rose cardstock and the Magnolia stamps, and we heat embossed the Magnolia stamp but then wanted to colour in on top of the flower, so we coloured the flower in white and then went back and coloured over the top in the pink to give a bit of depth and definition. So hope you can see on there that that gives a really nice pastel-y watercoloured effect. And then what we'll do is, once I've finished colouring that off screen, because you don't need to watch me, all I'm going to do is add those corners in to my cardstock, and then I will mount that up. And I think because we're colouring the roses with that lovely pink, I think what we might do is mount it up on some Fleur de Flamingo cardstock, and if you pop back a bit later to my Facebook page or my blog, both of which you'll find under the Crafty Yellow Camper, or even to Instagram, which is also the Crafty Yellow Camper, then hopefully I'll have a picture of the finished card. Okay, so that's all for now. If you'd like to order anything, or if you've got any questions, please feel free to drop me a line or put a message on my Facebook or on my blog, and I'll see you again soon. Happy stamping!